Hello and welcome to 10-Minute Fringe. My name is Laser and I'm here with Josiah Blount of FLAYED. Hey, Josiah, what's your show about? Give us the pitch.
Hey, my show, FLAYED, is about a pastor in Southwest Virginia who is fresh out of pastor's college, attempting to deliver his first sermon, and the audience is the church audience. And little Joshua has a bit of a mental breakdown in the process of attempting to deliver his first sermon. And then we go inside of his head and we meet all the characters and voices that live in there. And we learn what's going on inside of him that he is scared to admit to the world on the outside.
Uh-oh. So where does this show come from in your psyche, Josiah? Why did you want to tell this story?
Oh boy. Well, it has to do with sexuality, religion, and identity. And it came from, I was born in Southwest Virginia, and my father was a pastor, and I was homeschooled on a farm.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you
glad you're making it through. And I don't want to assume anything, but with that haircut, I think it was hard to get out of it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
hard and beautiful. It wasn't black and white, but yeah. And then I moved to LA at 18, and then I did this fun thing where I came out at 18. I was like, "Hey, everyone, I'm gay," and then I fell in love for the first time, and then that ended, and then I was really confused by the pain of first breakup and still hadn't worked through everything that was childhood and my upbringing, and then I went back in the closet and I went to conversion therapy.
Oh my
And
God, babe.
yeah, and then I ended up working at a church as a children's pastor, a very anti-gay church, but they hide it because it's not politically correct to be anti-gay. It's also evil and wrong. uh, I'm like, I'm still anti-gay, but it's not politically correct. No,
Woke culture these days. Yeah.
yeah. Oh. But it's crazy. I was in LA and I found people who were anti-gay and who would solidify the insecurities I had about myself and all the stuff I hadn't worked through and champion me rejecting that part of myself. So I found them and I made them my close friends and community. And then I was in that for a few years. I dated a woman for a year. I was a children's pastor. And then I got to the point where I just wanted to kill myself. And then I was like, something's wrong. Like, this is wrong. Everything is built on fear. I'm terrified of God. I'm terrified of hell. I'm terrified of my community. And I say that I'm all about love. And so when I pulled that little thread of fear, my whole faith deconstructed, my community fell apart. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm a gay man who can't accept himself. And I want to be someone who's actually about love, which is what Jesus talks about. And I don't identify as a Christian anymore. I do identify as a gay man. And so then I actually started writing because I worked at the church during 2020. It's not even that long ago. And we did all of our children's programming online. So I was writing children's Christian web series every week.
Wow.
Yeah. And it made me be like, oh, I really like having nothing and then creating something. And then shortly thereafter, my whole deconstruction happened. I came out again officially.
You just like during pandemic. Oh my God.
Not
Are
wild.
you okay?
That's what everyone says. I mean, it's interesting because I strive to be authentic and vulnerable. And I was that way even when I was like, well, I'm not gay. I'm still attracted to men and I want to have sex with them. But
Yeah.
God's working on me. So like it was very honest even in that part of it. But I was compartmentalized and, but now I have a great therapist and I have found there are still some friends from that time who have been like, oh my God, we were so wrong. I'm so sorry. And so they've stuck with me, but I've also vaccinated a lot of people who.
Yeah. That's tricky. So is the show a comedy? How did you approach creating this?
Yeah, right. It's like a sitcom. No, it's not. Yeah, it is a comedy. It's I discovered clown a few years ago. I've done improv and I've been like in Groundlings world for like 8 or 9 years. So comedy's kind of been my thing for quite a while. But I discovered clown, and then clown is beautiful. Have you ever done it?
I've seen a lot of shows and they're always amazing, but I have not yet dipped my toe in.
You should. It's amazing. The clown school is where I studied with David Bridel, who's my director. He founded
Nice.
the clown school, but it's such a beautiful blend of joy and humor, but also um, brokenness and vulnerability and the pain of being human.
Mhm.
I think that's what somebody, the Rebecca, who runs my tech at the Broadwater, called my show a traumedy, and I was like,
Mhm.
perfect, because there's so much humor and there's a lot of joy and laughter, and then there's also everything I just explained, a very
Yeah.
sad, painful story underneath. So it's both. It's all of it, which is like life.
Amazing. Did you move to LA with the intent of being an entertainer?
hmm I first came when I was, I think I was 15. I got an agent and manager in LA, and then my mom came with me because I'm the youngest of 5 children, so everyone had left home, and we came to LA for a pilot season. And I talked like this. I had a really thick accent, and I did not book a single thing.
Oh my
I
gosh.
talked like this. And then I went back after that pilot season, and then moved here officially at 18 to be an actor.
Incredible. Well, tell me about the process of putting the show together, rehearsing it. Any fun discoveries or strange experiences putting the show together?
So many. It. I came up with the concept of what would it be like to watch, because I've watched so many sermons in life, and they're so boring.
Mhm.
But I thought, what would it be like to watch a pastor give a sermon and then go back and forth between what they're publicly presenting and their private self? So that
Mhm.
was my initial like, oh, what is? And then I was like, oh, that could be a cool um, exploration of character and being able to organically show different parts of myself as an actor. And then, so I kind of came up with that structure and some other bits
Amazing.
I won't reveal so people can find it in the show. But then I reached out to my now director, David Bridel, who's brilliant, a brilliant clown and so kind and wonderful. And I'd been taking class with him, and I told him that structure and said, and he kind of knew my story. I gave him a little bit more and was like, so I want to write this thing. Would you want to help me devise it and just be a part of it? And he was in. So then we started meeting weekly. We would do like improv sessions and record them. And then I'd go home and write what worked from that. And
Amazing.
I was watching Game of Thrones for the first time during this writing process. And that snuck its way in there. And so
Yeah, sure.
hence the name FLAYED. It's a very Game of Thronesy kind of thing. So the world inside of Joshua, the protagonist character's head, is kind of a fantasy, medieval, violent, vulgar world.
Wow. Okay.
It also kind of juxtaposes uh, so much of Christianity is violent and vulgar, but we have this modern evangelical Western Christianity in America. But then
Mhm.
the Crusades, millions of people were murdered for love.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that was an interesting. I wasn't planning on like bringing Game of Thrones into the solo show I was writing about a church in Southwest Virginia, but that was a fun discovery. And
Yeah.
then this wonderful man named Taubert Nadalini is my associate director and sound designer, and he created soundscapes for every one of the fantasy sequences that are
Oh, cool.
brilliant and so cool. So there's really a different feel every time you go inside of Joshua's head, and that was really fun to discover. Um,
That's amazing. What are you hoping people get out of this show, Josiah?
I just noticed the other day I have this index card on my bathroom mirror that I wrote like a year ago that was like kind of a mission statement that I don't ever read because it's been there for a year, but I read it the other day, and it says, I'm going to paraphrase myself, but no one knows because they're not in my bathroom.
Yeah.
Um, I hope to inspire empathy and compassion and joy in people. And that's what I want with this show, that they can see another human, and their hearts can open, and they can identify the parts of themselves that they're trying to repress to earn approval and release that pressure on themselves.
How has the reception been? How has your run? How's Fringe?
God, I'm so overwhelmed in a beautiful way. It's been amazing. We've sold out 6 shows, and
God.
actually the 7th, I think we have 1 ticket left for
Mhm.
the 7th, and it's been really beautiful. I've had people come who are Christians who I didn't invite,
Mhm.
hold me outside and say, "I'm so sorry." And
Wow.
I wasn't, like, looking for that for myself, but I was like, "Oh, it worked." Like, you
Wow,
see
yeah.
what the struggle is, and you have empathy. So it's been really healing and beautiful, and I'm overwhelmed.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. Well, do you have any I mean, you say you have 1 ticket left. Are we I imagine if we follow along, there will be more opportunities to see it possibly in the future.
We
But when is the next show, and how do people find tickets and all that?
Well, if you Google FLAYED Fringe, it will come up in Google search. You can also follow me on Instagram, josiah.blount, and
Amazing.
Blount is Blount.
Mhm.
And I'll be doing more shows around Los Angeles and hopefully taking it to some other cities. And yeah, the next show is Saturday, June 24th at 10 p.m. There are a handful of at the door sales. So if you see
Yeah.
this tomorrow night, you really want to come, or I don't, this is live. So yeah, tomorrow night. Come,
Yes.
we can sell some seats at the door.
Amazing. Well, congrats. I mean, I've heard incredible things,
Yeah.
and it sounds like a show that should be made. So, I mean, thank you for doing it. It sounds super dramatic, but also I'm so happy you're taking that experience and turning it into a thing that we can all learn from, which is just art, baby. We love.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks for talking with me about it. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. And hey, everybody, thank you for watching 10 Minute Fringe.
Ooh.